14% increase than we had the last year. 1,900 of these students are using their VA benefits for their education. So their benefits brings in about $16 million to UNLV that pays for their tuition. It also funds housing payments for some veterans, depending on their particular benefits that they have. One challenge has been during the shutdown, and yes, I'm very thankful that it was ended just because of the impact on our students that we know of. There was some veterans who were not getting any resources. So the Military and Veterans Service Center was doing a lot of outreach and support, trying to connect vets with local resources, trying to get forbearances here at the university. So hopefully the funding will start flowing again for these individuals that are absolutely dependent on these resources. They served our country. I think they deserve them. So again, hopefully that'll start flowing as soon as possible. The Disability Resource Center provided accommodations to 2,300 students this year, about an 18% increase. There's a trend here. It seems like every service I'm talking about has had big increases, which is a good thing, right? It shows students are accessing these supports that we provide. About 1,500 of these students have multiple disabilities that they're receiving accommodations for, and 77% of them have invisible disabilities. You know, it just means you can't look at someone and tell that they have a disability. For example, like a wheelchair user would be someone that you can easily identify that. So you never know. So I'm happy to say that we have a great working relationship with faculty. I think to get students the accommodations that they need. I think they're really proactive and want the best for our students and their education. So I think it's important that we continue this work that's there. The biggest trend that we've seen is students coming in with disabilities related to mental health conditions. So I got great news yesterday. And the news is that the university agreed to fund another disability specialist for the Disability Resource Center. So we've been in need of this position for about 4 years, to be honest. So they supplied us another DS, which will go a long way to serving students and helping. So I am thrilled about that. So I think it's good news. The last thing I just wanted to share that if you don't know that the DRC is temporarily located in University Hall while plumbing renovations being done in their building. So we hope they'll be back in their building in the spring. So it's a smaller building, but they're doing the best they can with the resource that's there. All right, for the Student Health Center, we had over 11,500 appointments, which is a 10% increase over the previous year. When we look at our pharmacy, we prescribed about 1,400 prescriptions, about a 12% increase over the previous year. And our lab did 18,000 lab tests, 28% over the previous year. All these things I think are really important. So when we do in-house labs like we do, it just means that you can get the results. Your provider you seeing can often get those results to you within 5 minutes, which means you don't have to leave. We don't send you to another reference lab. We do sometimes because we can't do everything. That we have a comprehensive lab, which I think is great for our university. But it just makes it more convenient for you. It gives more information to the provider so they can get the best diagnosis, which, you know, increases the odds of doing the treatment that's needed the first time without trying a couple times. So I think this is really important. The pharmacy is also important because students can stop and get it on the way out. Our pharmaceuticals are very inexpensive. It's wholesale +4, so it's not a profit center for us. It's more we want students to get and start using their medications. So it's a great resource that we have. So when I add together all the, you know, the number of visits and sessions that we provide between the counseling center and the health center and those services, that's 57,000 visits that we have every year. So we stay very busy, I guess is my point saying that, which again, I'm glad students are utilizing their services. And the outcome data says students who use the health center and affiliated services, you know, have higher retention rates than other students, which just makes sense, right? You need to be well to really focus on your academics, which can be challenging enough sometimes. So we're glad about that. One of the great things is we always track is the time to see a provider. So you will see a provider at the Student Health Center an average of 12 minutes. So sometimes you'll see the billboards in the community, they'll say like 15 minutes. They mean to put you in a room and then you'll sit in that room for half an hour before you see a provider. So I don't mean going in the room, I'm saying seeing a provider. So that is pretty lightning fast by Las Vegas standards, just to let you know. So I think that's a big achievement, and the average session takes 20 minutes. 29 minutes from the time you go in to the time you get out. So again, I think it makes it very feasible for students to come in, be seen, get back to their classes. So really good. When we look at our data, satisfaction data for everyone that uses the health center, 94% students will say that the coming helps them achieve their academic goals. 95% say it helps them remain enrolled. And 95% feel like it helps them feeling valued on this campus. So important work that we're doing. I do want to remind everyone that students are entitled to free flu shots. So it's not too late. If you've avoided it, come in and get your flu shot. Flu is really starting to pick up. I get the reports from the county, so we're seeing more and more flu cases. So come on and get it. It's free. It's not that bad. The staff are really good at giving those shots. You hardly feel it at all. And then lastly, the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities. We had 1,215 students served with about 2,100 reported code violations. I think the important thing to understand about student rights and responsibilities, it's really there to preserve the academic environment that we have here on campus, okay? The interventions are educational. Students may feel like it's punitive, but they're educational. They write reflection letters. There's consequences sometimes to what is done. You know, we believe in community restoration, right? So if you've impacted the community, you do something to help the community. Again, but that's different than punishment, okay? So it's really meant to help students grow, to learn, and to keep an environment that's conducive to learning for everyone that's here on campus. So the Student Rights and Responsibilities team does a lot of work, and it's really important. So in short, student wellness is on the job. We've seen a lot of increases in students utilizing our services that we provide. We think it's a good thing. And not only do our services help the immediate reason that they came in, generally to improve their health, our mental health, but also we know that has a strong impact on retention and academic achievement. So thank you. That's my update. Is there any questions? Yes.
First,
Okay.
by her presentation, I'm reminded of an incident where I went to the Student Health Center to receive services, and they told me that it wasn't covered under my GA payments toward my tuition. And that was confusing because I didn't understand why, and when I inquired into it further, no one else had an answer for it. And I'm not sure if that's been anybody else's experience with GA, but I just feel like that could be an impediment on some graduate students receiving services if it's not included in their GA payments and they're not aware that they're not able to receive services from the Student Health Center.
So could I ask you to follow up with me? I want to dig into this and make sure I understand what the situation is, and because I haven't heard of it. So, and I want to make sure we get down to what's going on and figure it out. Okay.
It's the case for one of my peers as well, so I'm not sure if it's just the position that we're in or not, but I figured it out.
Okay.
So
was it related to the student health insurance plan?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, please do. That would be very helpful. We will look into it. Yes, sir.
First one is, I don't know if the utilization of students in terms of mine as specifically deals with the wellness center, for example, if the number of utilization or the number of attendance increase, should it be something that we should be more concerned about? Because, for instance, if the number of people trooping into the hospital increase, is it a good thing or is it something that we should be worried about? That's my first question. Then my second question is, I'm an international student, and so normally when school is on vacation, I don't get access to the wellness center like the gym and other facility unless I'm registered for class. Is it something that could be done in that respect for at least for some international students who stay around when necessarily they are not requested for classes, but still have to use some of the resources on campus. We might not necessarily have to pay for. I think, yeah, that's probably.
Okay, so first question, more students are utilizing the healthcare services we provide. Is it a good or bad thing? I think it's a good thing that students are coming in. We know the sooner the students access services, the sooner they're healed, the less likely it is to become a chronic condition, right? So it's one of those things we do want to see that. Quickly accessing services actually reduces hospitalizations, right? And again, these are all things that disrupt a student's education. So it's a good thing that students are coming in. To me, it shows that we have made a system that is accessible, right? That's not challenging to get into. So it's there. So overall, I think it's a very positive thing. Did this go off again?
I think the mic's working now, so they asked me to mute the.
Right.
goals, reaching a single person who can walk me through exactly what my benefits coverage is, both from the perspective of what is available on campus outside of the actual context of the student health center, particularly the psychological services, other than CAPS, I don't know what's available to me. And then also from the perspective of things like vision and dental, which I know personally I have had to go to like Edna's documents to figure out what exactly the therapeutic that is. And I keep getting emails about some sort of vision surgery, but everyone tells me I don't have vision coverage. So there's just a lot of communication region that
Please do
goes
it.
to various sides that same services. And I
If I tackle
yeah, sorry, it was a lot.
the thing with communication is no matter how much you think you do, it's never enough, right? So we really try to communicate in social media, the mechanism. We're on a resource, that the provost office does and files all the resources. It's on syllabi and those type of things. So to answer your question, absolutely, we will come into a classroom. The sooner you request it, the better. We get a lot of those requests. We also meet with various GA groups, so we like to meet with groups of GA colleges. We'll get all the GAs together sometimes, and we'll kind of go over and explain to you exactly what's available, how, if you have a student that needs a resource, how to help them access that service. And the short answer is usually walk them over, give us a phone call, walk them over, those type of things. So we're happy to do it with English. To set that up, and that's our preferred way, is to do as many GAs as possible at one time, right, to cover this. Because we know that our faculty, staff, and GAs are one of the largest resources that refer students to us. So I think it's really an important connection. Students trust you, right? So it's important to kind of know the resources that are available. So I can set up a meeting if you'd like to meet with some of the leadership of the health center. So there's resources that we offer. There's part of the health fee that we have. As you noted, there is a summer fee that's available. We don't require students to pay it. Anyone who is enrolled in like the spring is enrolled in the next fall and is eligible for health and counseling services during the summer break. You just have to pay the summer fee, which is generally like half of what the regular fee is. It's really just dividing the number of things. So it's good that it's available, that if you need it, and $50 is so much cheaper than cost out of pocket for a lot of these type of things. So we're glad that that's available. For student health insurance, which is a plan that's administered by Aetna, we have an insurance specialist who just retired, so we were searching for that position. Right now, hoping to have someone on. But there are members of the team who are happy to meet with you and explain your benefits, what it covers, what it doesn't cover. So the short answer to your question about vision, I will tell you that is the previous year we included vision with the student health insurance. Okay, they offered it to us for a really inexpensive rate. This year, the rates increased and they wanted a lot more for it. So there's a student health insurance committee that meets GPSA as a representative in that, and the committee voted to keep rates as low as possible, not to include vision. You still can purchase vision from Aetna if you would like to, but we have no connection to that. It's really working with them directly. But again, I'm happy to facilitate a connection with the health center team or our insurance people to answer your questions and certainly set up training.
Thank you so much. That was very informative questions. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I don't know if this could help you, but earlier in the year for the spring semester, when I went to the health center, so my GA contract has a mandatory health insurance enrollment, and I have to email to opt out of it, but I'm always opted in. And so I got treated, and at the very end of the treatment, they were like, "Oh, you don't have health insurance. You opted out." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And it was this huge debacle. I couldn't get like the medications I needed, all that stuff. It was, and I second that, like the health center is seriously like the best resourcing on campus in my experience, in my opinion. I use them all the time. And so it took like several days to resolve that. And I had to email two different people. They emailed two other people. And it ended up being a registrar issue where they somehow like messed my start date up or something. Once they fixed that, that all like came back up again. So I don't know if that could be your experience, but I just wanted to bring that up.
So we have had issues, just to let you know, with registrar, there's a miscommunication between that and our broker that oversees this. I will say that we do intercede on students' behalf. So when there's a mistake, we take the approach that the student needs the insurance. The insurance company generally does not want to provide care for you because they're like, they didn't pay for it, they don't get it. So I don't want to make you think, but insurance companies are in to make money. But we really use pressure and we say, no, we insist that you do this. So we do a lot of risk turning behind the scenes to make sure it's there. And so our perspective is students should be held harmless in these types of situations, especially when it's an administrative thing like that. And a lot of times if they didn't collect the resource, so we'll end up paying it ourselves just to make sure to grease the wheels, so to speak. So that's kind of how we handle those. We try and avoid those situations. The team is constantly working on those type of things, but sometimes they just happen with the way information is coded in the system. So thank you for sharing that, though.
See anyone soon? Do you have any questions in the room before we close out? No? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next presentation, we have one more campus partner presentation, and that will be from Raphael, who is from the Office of Undergraduate Research. He will be presenting about the use of digital poster presentations for their upcoming fall research symposium for undergraduates.
He's online. He's online. Is he
Hi,
online?
everyone. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me. Hello? Want to make sure y'all can hear me. All right, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rafael Oganesian. I'm the director at the Office of Undergraduate Research. Just wanted to update you all on what our office has transitioned to, and this is in light of the fact that our undergraduate research symposium and the GPSA research forum, we often share the poster partitions. And so what's been happening is we've used the poster partitions annually. And so this semester, we found out that there's been a steep increase in the cost of posters. And so from our office, we do allocate some funds to our undergraduate students to have their poster printing covered. And so given the steep increase from, I believe, of $48 to $64, I basically used it as a political capital to talk to leadership, campus leadership, about shifting towards a more sustainable model, eco-friendly model, and that's the use of electronic posters or posters that can be viewed through a television. And so just wanted to update GPSA on what we did. We were given the green light to go ahead and purchase 20 televisions and 10 TV stands. And so each TV stand has dual TVs. And all of our posters are now going to be electronically. And so we're not going to inherit any poster printing costs. We've done away with our poster printing grant. And so we'll be launching that next Friday, November 21st. So if you're on campus on Friday, November 21st, feel free to stop by Student Union 208, A, B, and C. That's where we're going to debut the electronic posters with 20 televisions. So just wanted to update GPSA on that. I think that's something that your organization might want to consider. It's to me, it just makes more sense. It's more sustainable, and it's better than dealing with the increased printing costs. So with that, I'd be more than happy to take questions. Are there any questions?
We do not see any questions.
I'm gonna turn up my laptop, okay? I'm gonna turn up the laptop over here, okay? Make sure.
Are there any questions? All right, if there's no questions, thank you for your time.
Can I go ahead, please?
There are questions.
There are? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I don't know whether you are struggling here, but what I heard was the undergraduate research have been able to purchase 20 television, and they are proposing that the GPSA can also do same. I don't know if that was the impulse of the presentation, but if I
No,
bet
no,
you,
no.
if that was it, then I don't know whether we are all in UNLP. And so if the undergraduate research committee have been able to secure 20 televisions, and if in case GPSA is also embarking on its research forum or producing a research, I don't think why there should be a problem why we can't also in a way rent these televisions and use them rather than GPS also buying its own 20 television or buying its own televisions to reduce this poster cost in terms of printing. And so if the undergraduate team has been able to purchase these televisions already, what would there be anything mean very some or wrong if GPSA in case in need of it and comes for it? Would there be anything wrong with that?
So during my presentation, at no point did I suggest GPSA go ahead and purchase televisions. I'm just spreading the word out right now to campus. I actually have hope to get a meeting with the vice president for research office. This is simply an information item that I wanted to present to GPSA. The ultimate goal is to get more and more campus entities to consider a more sustainable option rather than printing posters. And so I just wanted to come today, talk about this, and also just to do a little shout out about our symposium that's happening next Friday, which will be a good opportunity for many of you who are interested in this option to come look at to see how this works. Again, we have not tested it before. Hopefully it will work good. It will go without a hitch, but I'm not suggesting that GPSA purchase televisions. That is not what I'm here for today.
Any other questions in the room? If you have a question online, please just put it in the chat. All right, doesn't look like we have any other questions. Thank you, Rafi. Look forward to seeing those posters, the virtual posters next Friday.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Take care now.
All right, we have just a couple of more informational updates for the call. I'll go out of order. Do we have any campus partners that have updates for us? Or grad colleges? So, where's Bob here?
Yes, so the only announcement that I have is to remind you guys that the grad college has the fellowships and scholarship portal open. That is open until December 1st. So any scholarships or fellowships, if you have any questions regarding those, please reach out to Christy Correa Davis, or you can email us at our main email, gradfinancialsdcs@unlv.edu. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dante. Do you have any questions for Dante about anything related to GAs? All right, thank you, Dante. Going into, we'll actually turn it over to the rest of the second report. They have the reports. There will be mine. So like,
Don't have time. That's there, virtual. But I will say we are hoping the sponsorship committee with the what is it, the division of sponsored funding. Hoping to reopen the RSO funding. In the spring, we have about $5,000 set aside per semester for that. So we could be getting messages soon. We're currently working on our operating policy and looking at some of the information or some of the things that Susan does for their RSO program and seeing that what we're doing and RSO is resolution. So if you have a registered funding for any kind of material for that, you can apply once we start. Also, I've been talking with the sponsorship committee and also based on some feedback that we've gotten from our last meeting specifically. I was wondering what people feel like, or I wanted to know, like, get a hold of what type of academic activities that different departments are doing, just so we can be more accommodating for all departments instead of just specific ones, because I got the feedback that the sponsorship committee, what people don't feel like, so we can cover any of the activities that they do. So I'm hoping to get an understanding of what activities that other people want covered that it doesn't seem like we currently covered, because everybody is open to or welcome to apply to the sponsorship committee for academic activities. It's not just conferences, so you can do like workshops, or even if you're doing any other type of networking thing, we could usually offer funding for that too, or research materials. So I want to get a grasp on like any other things that we could possibly cover that maybe people feel like. So if you have anything in mind, feel free to email me at GPSA@UNLV.edu. And I think that's all I had. Oh, also, if you are, I went to the engineering orientation in last month, early October, and I thought that was great. So I feel like if other people want to have us at their orientation specifically for us to talk about sponsorship opportunities, I'm more than welcome to do that. Just about that also specific.
Oh, go ahead. Over to you.
Very important skills. We want to size of 2025. We have sources we student will see right of this sharing slightly. I'm 77. So we're going to 72. 2007 what we see in 2007 this. So when we have students young 2,000 sorry, what so we was only was a combined structure 272 670. And the total use is this literature for everything from Pilates to students 1,347 on the 7th floor. So this is taken out from the subject the floor. And now I spent on the period 1,005. So we are wireless and now that so that is non-scholarship because our grants at the state of research we have scholarship and scholarship. With scholarship, we have to the inflow that we transfer from regular kinds to scholarship and special activities for the period. We will apply using two. We opened with 55 and without establishing the sources for the period was 55,000. So we have that one to the other one is the society. So that is for scholarship or scholarship for the field, stood at 29,271. So this so that is from the annual salary we have 78 all by food. So time to time we have 230,000 for that. So this is the report for the period reports as I did, I will notice an error which is I call the financial reporting control, which is as a result of the system error. So I had a discussion with the president, I also had a discussion with the business manager that this error will respond to, and we need to quickly address it. Part of the resolution we had the discussion with the IT team and the resolve was that they are going to look at the packet to look at what's done. Aside from this, part of what we wanted to do was to have another discussion with the business and the species academy the budget itself. So basically, the total difference that we are looking at is just 2,577. So, and the main BC that the main issue with this system error is as a result of because during the month of October, we took a school for the month of October, which is the report for September. So there is a difference. Ordinarily, in accounting, there is what we call matching concepts. If you close an account for a particular period and you go ahead to post into it, or you are not posting to the next accounting period, this could be different. So these are the areas we want us to, we want them to help us look into so that we can have a report that is accurate and represents the total interest of the association. So that's it. Thank you.
Secretary Bonsu, do you have anything for us? I know you're like 10 hours ahead of us, so that is all right if you are. If you have anything, just let me know in the chat. But I have a handful of updates from the month of October since we last met on October 2nd. So please bear with me, but this is all very, very important information regarding state issues, as well as UNLV specifically. But first, the GA Engaged Advisory Committee developed by or created by the Graduate College is continuing to develop an official grievance policy and process for GAs. The committee has collected policies from other universities, including those with an existing GA, collective bargaining union, and those without one, to identify key procedures that would benefit UNLV GAs. In the spring semester, the committee will be developing an official policy to be launched ideally for fall 2026. If there's any specific items you all would like to see addressed by this committee in terms of grievance procedures, or like the actual process of it, please contact your respective representative on the committee. That is Erin Rupp for a STEM seat, Hotel for social sciences, and Sarah Norda for creative arts. I'll make sure to get those emails out to you all as well if you have any questions for your representatives there. I also sit on that committee, so if you have any questions, please feel free to raise it to me. I'm usually at all of those meetings. For GA evaluations, as part of this sort of overhaul of GA processes over the next year, the Graduate College is also developing a standardized GA evaluation form to be used by all departments. There's currently no requirement for departments or programs with GAs to issue those evaluations. However, a standardized form will help set clear expectations on what GA should be doing, what the department should expect of the GA, and any recommendations to improve performance to avoid probation or the potential termination of a GA. For forum updates, the forum subcommittees have continued to meet, and we have been creating a solid infrastructure for forum planning for this and future years. The abstract submission portal should be going live in the next days.
It's already live.
Oh, it is live.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the abstract submission portal is live, so please get those in. You'll notice that you are applying to specific session themes, so that we can help consolidate all of the presentations into specific topics and themes, rather than having us try to create these sessions last second, in March and April leading up to. I also brought up to your upper administration
including the provost and vice president of student affairs, a potential housing portal to be used in future years for graduate students who are either existing or new students, new graduate professional students. In previous years, the UNLV administration was skeptical of creating a graduate student housing portal where even returning students could search for housing nearby campus. UNLV's legal team at the time thought that it was ripe for legal liability, especially if UNLV included a residence that had a slumlord or some type of very sketchy managing of the property. However, UNLV's legal team has decided that if we were to move forward with this, there would just have to be clear language saying that UNLV does not endorse actually giving up these properties, but that they are options to live at these properties. So this is something that will be developed hopefully in the next year, and we hope to have it ready set up for fall 2026. But that is still a very early conversation. For academic freedom and free speech, as some of you or most of you probably saw, there was an email sent out to all GAs, any instructor at UNLV, from the provost regarding free speech rights both outside the classroom and what topics should and should not be covered in the classroom. I had a conversation with the provost, asked specifically if this was in response to any specific event, if there was a specific situation that GA should be aware about so that we can avoid that in the future. But the provost just wanted to reassert that the message was not in relation to a specific event or instructor, but there have been minor concerns for professors placing resources related to political matters on a Canvas page that's not even necessarily a political course. So like a biology course might have had resources for some type of political event or political activity. That's generally discouraged and should not be adopted by instructors. But if you are teaching a course that is related to political topics or current events, then that's obviously part of the curriculum, that's part of the syllabus, and that is encouraged to be talked about in the classroom. If you have any questions, of course, on that guidance, please reach out to me and I can forward that, or I can bring it up again to the provost and get some more clarification here. Thank you to everyone who made it in person today. The UNLV Office of Student Affairs provided GPSA with up to $2,500 in catering credits. So as you all saw in the corner of this room, we did have this event catered, and thank you to our Director of Engagement and Outreach for getting that all set up.
Welcome.
If you have any suggestions or questions about the catering offerings that we have for the council meetings, please reach out to our Director, Ariadna. That is GPSA. You're in charge of the catering.
Seriously has become a catering master. Yeah, I cooked everything from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like 2 hours ago. Like, I don't know how she does it.
You can reach out to our Director of Engagement and Outreach at gpsa.eo@u.edu. Next update is from the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. The Constitution and Bylaws Committee has met a few times over the past month. We began the process to finalize the constitutional revisions that we've been talking about and developing for the past few years. We expect a vote on the revised constitution to be brought forward to you all, the council, in February. A vote to recommend adoption of a new constitution requires 2/3 of the entire council, not just of those present for the meeting. So I strongly encourage you all to mark that on your calendars now, our February 12th meeting, because if we do not get a 2/3 of the entire appointed council, then we cannot go forward with the constitution then. And that could potentially delay us to not have a constitution ready by the time that the executive board would take over. Listening tour with NC leaders occurred in October. The Chancellor of NC met there along with the Chair of the Board of Regents, Byron Brooks. Visited UNLV's campus to meet with various constituency groups, including upper administration, the Faculty Senate, and student governments. In a meeting that I attended with student governments alongside my Vice President as well as my Director of Legislative Affairs, both CSUN and GPSA raised concerns regarding a proposal to increase tuition on students and the potential impact it will have on future enrollment. GPSA also specifically questioned the NC leaders on their plans to protect on any potential plans to protect vulnerable and marginalized student populations, especially those who are undocumented. NC leaders provided very little information on any plans that they might have and appeared to not be very concerned with these issues. If you have any questions, please reach out about this conversation. Please reach out to me or our Director of Legislative Affairs. That is gpsa.la@unl.edu. In October, I also attended the Faculty Senate meeting, where 3 major resolutions titled "The Sense of the Senate" were adopted after much lively discussion there. The first was a request by the Senate to UNLV administration to change FERS contracts from 1 year to 3 years. Faculty and residents, for those who don't know that acronym, changing from 1 year to 3 year contracts. The second sense of the Senate was related to academic freedom and free speech guidance that was issued previous to that meeting. The Senate asked for clarification from both the UNLV president and provost on that language that was sent out to all of the instructors. And the final sense of the Senate related to UNLV mission to support diversity, equitability, inclusion of all students, and recent decisions by UNLV administration to hide or take down resources for undocumented students. The Faculty Senate ultimately adopted language reaffirming their commitment to this pillar of UNLV's mission, and is partly also why we introduced the resolution that was originally scheduled for today. But we'll have to schedule that for another. We also have a town hall coming up this Monday. You all should have seen in your emails, I sent out a couple of notices, but CSUN and GPSA will be hosting a set of town halls on Monday the 17th at 5 p.m. in the Philip Cohen Theater, just on the first floor of the student unit here. There will be a town hall open to all students, including both undergraduate and graduates, with guests including Nevada legislators from the State Assembly, the State Senate, the Board of Regents, as well as local county commissioners. There was a flyer sent out in that email as well with a QR code to submit any questions if you have any. So please use that form if you have anything that you can. Later that night at 7 p.m., the executive board will be joining CSUN for one of their regular scheduled meetings of the Senate. And this meeting will include the UNLV president and chief CFO to discuss specifically the tuition increase proposal. Any members of the council are welcome to attend either or both events. Just let me know so that we can make sure we have enough seats ready for you. It should be held in this room. I believe 8 and C will be open for that. Last little update that I have for you all. Board of Regents related items. The first one is that the security committee just released their agenda for next week. That is taking place on November 18th. 2 items stuck out to students that were brought specifically to my attention. First is that the committee will be discussing the policy regarding firearms on campus. We currently prohibit both open and concealed carry of any firearm at any institution, aside from those held by officers at UPB. It's not clear where what will be discussed during this item, but it is for information only, so it is for possible action in some future meeting. It's just not for action at this specific time. So if you have any interest in that, please watch the live stream. I don't believe they have an in-person office. The second item is a discussion on entry policies relating to transgender student athletes. This item is also for information only, but again, it's not very clear on what is going to be done in the future regarding this language. If anyone needs any assistance in providing public comment for these meetings, please contact myself at our legislative affairs team, and we can get you set up with the resources to give public comment. And lastly, the Board of Regents December meeting will be taking place at UNLV on December 4th and 5th for most of the day. So far, the only major discussion expected to impact UNLV students is the vote on tuition increases of up to 12%. And any students who would like assistance with submitting public comment again for that meeting should contact our legislative affairs team. I really hope that many of you feel empowered to speak up or at least voice concerns about issues that are relating to your experience as graduate professional students. I think it's very important that the board hears more now than ever directly from the students, just so that we make sure that the board is taking into consideration student feedback directly into their decision making. I've gotten a general feeling over the past few months that student voices have not necessarily been taken into very dear consideration by the board. So I think just having a very large public showing of students providing public comment, talking about their experiences at UNLV and their graduate professional programs will be very beneficial and very helpful for the board to do that. That is all my reports from October. Do we have any questions on that? I do have one more tiny item to go before we wrap up. Or if you have a comment over to the chat.
Nope, nothing in the chat.
Oh yes, and then January 11th for the research forum abstract. Right, and then to close out our meeting, the last information only item that I have ready for you all. So I have been sitting on the committee that's been recommending action to the board regarding tuition increases, and I sat on this committee as a representative for all graduate students across the state of Nevada. I first want to note that professional schools are not included in these tuition increases, so law, dental, and medicine will all be on a separate tuition increase schedule, and that is currently being handled by the CFO and some other offices that get included. So the rates that you are seeing on the screen right now is specifically relating to graduate students housed under the graduate college. And so on the second row of that main table, you'll see registration fees, UNLV, and graduate, what was originally expected between 2026 and 2029. The value that is struck out was the original value according to our normal tuition increase schedule. However, in order to cover the lack of COLA funding and some other support from the state that we are being told will not be coming in the future, a 12% increase in tuition is being referred to the board with these new numbers that you see. So in 2026, it'll be about an increase of $11 over expected. 2027 will be an increase of roughly 27 over expected, and then about $50 over expected in 2028, 2029. It was structured in a way so that the original plan honestly was to put all 12% in fall 2026. There was a lot of pushback from students, and so we were able to get a revision added to this proposal, which would implement this fee increase 3% next year, 4% the following, and 5% the following. So we were able to at least get that sort of phased in over a few. As part of the committee, we also recommended that the board does not implement the credit card fee that was being discussed earlier this year. All of the institutional presidents across Tennessee have voiced opposition to that. So the board, it looks like, will not be even discussing that for even action in December.
Hey, that's a win.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, the resolution that you all adopted earlier this year definitely helps. The board was very happy to see that graduate students, or not just graduate students, but students in general were opposed to that credit card. But yeah, so that is essentially what we discussed in the ad hoc committee created by the chancellor. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to hear them now or throw them into the chat if they line. Or if you have any questions about anything that I talked about in my reports, I'll open it up to the board.
Then I can just add, just to make sure you guys hear what Devin is saying when it comes to the tuition increases. So, and thank you to President Lopez for explaining more of this. He learned a lot on this ad hoc committee. Devin is the representative on this chancellor's ad hoc committee for all graduate students from UNR and UNLV. And so that's a pretty big role that he had to serve on behalf of graduate students. And part of this was that 12% fee increase. It was just discussed previously, so they were able to get lowered. But if you see the amount that was crossed out, that was per formula previously, which you helped me explain.
Yeah, so the original, so most universities have like some type of built-in tuition increase system year over year. The Board of Regents used to do just yearly votes on what the tuition increase would be. However, in around, I think 2019, 2020, around the start of COVID is when they adopted a new system, which would fix tuition increases for the entire state system based upon inflation with a cap of up to, I believe, 5% year over year. The numbers that are originally on the screen, so you can see like in 2026, 2027, it was scheduled to have $372 per credit tuition. That was like normal inflation adjusted tuition increase. However, the 383 is with the additional money that's needed to cover costs that are not being supported by the state legislature. And the reason that the 12% has to be, or is highly recommended to be implemented, is because without it, there's a very strong likelihood that programs back up. So just until we can get to the next legislative session, this is sort of like a band-aid that we're putting, unfortunately, on students, but we do not have support from the state at this time to carry over all of our programs.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's also so you guys understand how this might impact students. Obviously, tuition's going up, but also anyone who has a GA. Your GA tuition waiver, money still comes in, and money still has to be, like a check still has to get written. So this does impact folks who do have GA ships, and it also impacts folks who might be on a grant. So if you do have some grant funding for starting fall of 2026, make sure that your advisors are aware of that and that they can take that into account, because it's going to increase a little bit more than the originally planned amount. And so this is your time to communicate this to your departments, make sure people are aware of this information, and people can plan for this, assuming that this does get passed in December. Yeah, and you have opportunities to voice your public comment at these Board of Regents meetings on December 4th and 5th.
Yeah, based on what you said, I don't know whether, so does it mean that in the subsequent years to come, the GA benefits in terms of the allowances, then the total stipends will also be adjusted based on some of these things?
So no, there would be no impact on the actual benefits that GAs receive. This is just something that has to happen on the backside of the grad college to support our lines. But there would be no impact on our actual stipends for healthcare.
I'm asking in terms of, in the subsequent years, will the amounts be also adjusted such that at least at the end of the day, the individual students will not feel it that much, because 12% might also may look small, but in for an international student may look big. And so will there be a way that the GA annual stipend will be adjusted to account for some of these, because this 12% is being deducted from the fee. And some GAs have to pay their fee. For instance, if you are doing the 4 credit, you are doing the 5 credit, you have to pay the balance. And so no matter what, it's going to affect the student. And so what I'm saying is that, is there any plans that these GAs annual stipend will also be adjusted to account for some of these inflationary prices or adjustable prices in some of these fees?
Very good question. Currently, the only system and process that we have to increase GA stipends would be through legislative approval. The next legislative session, well, there's currently a special session being held by the Nevada legislature, but that's only for topics, including the Summerlin Film Studio that's being proposed. The next opportunity GAs would have to advocate and ask for a stipend increase would be in 2027. That would go through the Nevada legislature's biennium that meets in starting, I believe, February or January of 2027. They would conclude all their business by June of 2027, and then any stipend increases decided during that session would be implemented, and they would actually hit our pockets by the fall of 2027. But currently, there is no process for GAs to get raises between now and then.
Okay, and this fee is per course, right?
Sorry, what's that?
This
Per credit.
per course.
This is per credit, this
Per credit,
particular
okay.
fee. And so to answer, also to supplement your question, sorry, this is Nia Christina for the record. There's a tuition waiver that goes into the GA lines. And so the additional fees that aren't covered through that, those are different types of fees. This is actually the tuition credit, tuition waiver, relevant per credit fee. And so that one is the one that goes through and gets waived through, depending on how your funding is, if it's funding through the state or if it's a grant, it depends, but that is the tuition. So, I mean, it depends on the GA ship. Some of them fund up to 9 credits, some fund up to 6. So there will be an impact if your position doesn't fund up to the full 9, for example, or you take more than that. I don't think you're allowed to do that. Anyway, but this is the amount that the tuition waiver for state funded GAs up to 9 credits does waive. Does that answer your question? Okay. So it just means that there's more. So if you picture like a very large pot of money, basically that larger pot of money is it's slimmed now by 3%, basically. That is horrible math, but you get the idea. I need somebody from like the mathematics department to help me on that one, but you get the idea.
One more thing I forgot to add, the numbers that were originally on the screen earlier, that was the in-state tuition only. Non-resident tuition rates are on a separate table, as you can see now on your screen. Okay, I will send this. I'll send this over to everyone through council through email.
They can't see it on Zoom,
The non-resident tuition rates are.
but they can't see it on Zoom.
There's something.
Who's doing the screen share right now? Yeah, you shouldn't be. You should have the authority.
Get this PDF sent out to.
Okay.
But yeah, for those in the room, you can see that the non-resident tuition rate increase is on the first row of this table. So original strikeout starting in 2026 was originally $19,601, but that goes up with the 3% increase in 2026 to $20,180 for non-resident tuition, and then subsequent increases after that for things. So again, if anyone has any questions about this, please reach out to me. This is an actionable item for board decision for actual board approval
in December. So this is something that will be decided whether or not graduate students get their voice in. So I encourage you all to give public comment, and if you need any.
With me, final questions. I know it's almost 8 o'clock. Thank you everyone for sitting in there. Any questions online? Person?
Well, I have a question, but not related to what you said. Not related to your report. I think today I was going through the GPSA website, And I realized that the council members representative does not reflect the current council, so it probably that adjustment should be done at the.
Again,
We can get that corrected.
New council members on the website. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, everyone, for sticking through it. I will be reaching out in the next day or two, asking when we can schedule another meeting. If not, our next meeting will be on December 11th. Yes, the second Thursday of December. This one.